Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Basketball Banter Show. And sorry for the little hiatus here. I was trying to work on bringing a guest in, and fortunately, I am joined by two guests here. Daniel Rios, he co-hosts with me on the Basketball Maestros podcast, so you may be familiar with him. And then joined by a very special guest I'm excited to chop it up with. We have Shubh, who is pretty prominent in the Lakers fan community, hosts some pretty popular Twitter Spaces, the Coach's Den, as he and his other colleagues, James, Roman, Zay, all host that Twitter Spaces, which is just one of the popular things in the Lakers community. So, first and foremost, thank you for hopping on, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks for bringing me on. I'm honored to be here. So excited to get to talking hoops.
Yeah, and let's just jump right into it. On Tuesday night, we had the New Orleans Pelicans and the LA Lakers facing off for the second straight time in the 7-8 matchup and for the right to play Denver. And it was certainly an experience going back and forth in that game. The second half was definitely a flip script for the Lakers. Um, they seemed to look in control for majority of the game, going up 18, and then things kind of unraveled. We expected the Pelicans to play a lot better, and they sure did. Zion dropped a 40 ball and then unfortunately got injured towards the latter end of the fourth quarter where they're making their push. And I think if Zion stays in that game, he probably would have dropped 50, to be honest with you. But wasn't pretty by any means of the imagination, where LeBron and AD arguably had their worst performances of the season. LeBron shooting 6 for 20, AD 6 for 16. Just wasn't pretty, but in the bright spots, he had D'Lo dropping 21, making the biggest three of the night, hitting the dagger with 50 seconds left. Then you had Austin Reeves chipping in with 16 as well. And then Gabe Vincent showing off some Miami flashbacks. He dropped 9 points after just struggling every game he's been in offensively. So that was a great sign to see as well. And overall, I mean, it wasn't pretty. You can tell that AD wasn't 100%. So the mindset from the fan base was just escape with a win, get some days off, and then rest and try to get to 100% as possible and get ready to take on the defending champs. So this game obviously was not how we expected it to go, especially letting a lead of 18 slip away, but no lead is safe nowadays. So can't really complain, but now you got to focus on Denver. But Shep, we'll start with you. What were your initial thoughts on the playing game?
Yeah, I think first of all, that was a beautiful kind of outline of everything that happened. Great summary right there.
Thank
You
you.
pretty much said everything. I think it was an up and down game. The thing that when we went live right after that, the feeling, like you said, it was just great to escape another one with the W. I think a theme of what you're seeing that's now, except of last night, there's been two of the earlier playing games this season that have gone down to the wire pretty much, and you're seeing a close one right now as we're recording
Mhm.
between Chicago and Atlanta going down to the wire there within a two possession game. And so I think since this tournament has been kind of enacted, one thing you can summarize is like this: you can't really draw conclusions, you can't really go off of trends, you can't really go based off of like um you know willpower or just like talent, because this is everyone's game 7 for the just to get into the playoffs. So
Mhm.
everyone, all four teams on each side of the conference are going in with that mentality, and you can't really predict or anything of that. So we were up 18 the whole game, we are up 15 the whole game, and next thing you know, Zion just kind of like went on a tear of his own. And like you said, LeBron and AD, not their usual performances, below average performances, and nobody was expecting Gabe Vincent to come around with those buckets. So not only that, the one conclusion or pattern you can draw is look at our last 3 playing games, just like as a whole, since the tournament's been enacted. We played an ugly game at home at Staples against Steph. It took a Hail Mary three, excuse me, from LeBron to get out of that one alive. I think Kent Bazemore was firing from three. Steph Curry was firing from three back in 21. And I remember where I was watching that game, and it was stressful. Like nobody
Mhm.
knew where it was. And thank God for LeBron's three right there. That kind of got us over the hump. Then you look at last year's playing game against the Wolves, where they had Torian Prince, Ant, Karl Anthony Towns, Mike Conley. We were walking into that one thinking it would be super pretty. They're coming in 8th seed, absolutely no shot. Boom, you get blitzed by like 10 or
Mhm.
13. I remember hosting the halftime space for that one, and we were all shocked and pissed. We were like, what the hell is going on? Nothing was going right. We could not stop them. Ant had a bad game, and we were still down double digits because Karl Anthony Towns was firing from deep. Just all these like things nobody had on any sort of bingo card whatsoever is happening in those playing games. Like, so it just taught me that, like, bro, it's everyone's game 7. Just get out of there with the win, and you can live to see another day, which is what we're doing right now, being 3-0 in the history of the playing game. So I'm grateful for that. Like you said, throw it away in the gutter and get ready for Denver.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember that Warriors game. I was ironically with Daniel and a bunch of our other friends watching that game. So
Yep.
seeing that LeBron James just Hail Mary through was insane. But yeah,
Crazy.
Daniel, what are your thoughts on the playing game?
No, and I think you're completely right on it. And it's everyone's game 7, and you kind of look at it like we saw it last night. You have guys like Keon Ellis who are literally,
Mhm.
making big differences, and you saw it today with Nick Batum, like highest, scoring night of the entire season. And with all the people who are like, oh, tank the game, try to play the Thunder, like, it would be nice to play the Thunder round one. Like I don't think anyone's, denying that, but you know, the NBA is so unpredictable sometimes. Like you hit it, the Timberwolves game, like Ant had a bad game. Last night, CJ's coming in averaging 30 a game and he drops, a stinker. BI was supposed to play heavy minutes and he just didn't look, up to par. And no one expected Zion to drop 40. It's just there are too many factors, there are too many things to where um you can't really just throw a game in the NBA. This isn't, it's not the playoffs yet. We're not in BO7. It's BO1. So I'm really happy we came out with the win yesterday. You know, the energy was, good to start off, and then obviously, kind of fell towards the end of the game. But Denver coming up, it's gonna be exciting. And I'm just, really happy that, the biggest difference I feel like from last year to this year is don't want to get too much into it, but you saw players like D'Lo stepping up. You saw players like Reed stepping up when LeBron and AD aren't having, their best of nights. And you gotta. This is what we've all been asking for. LeBron's 39. He can't keep doing it, every single night. And obviously, like to see AD to play better. But we brought in Gabe Vincent to, make big impacts like that. Obviously, we've had injuries with Christian Wood, and he hasn't really panned out and things like that. But we've seen those role players step up, and that was the biggest thing that I took away from last night that I was really happy with, is we just see those guys kind of stepping up and making those impacts. So, I'm really excited for the series coming up.
Yeah, certainly. And you alluded to it. We got a little Western Conference Finals rematch. The Denver Nuggets, and I know you talk about tanking the game. Obviously, you just got to take the win and move on and handle Denver however you can. But we're going to broaden the horizon onto what our thoughts on the series are. And I know there's a lot of mixed opinions. I've seen plenty of plenty of tweets on the timeline about fans being all in. Give me Denver. Let's get it rolling. Which, by all means, you Darvin Ham, out of all people, was talking about we're not ducking smoke. AD said it as well, which obviously you want to say that and envision that as a fan base. We won championships, obviously, but at this point in time, I was of the mindset you get Denver. You're gonna face them eventually, whether you want to get to a championship or not. You're gonna play them at some point, and I was of the mindset of play them first, so you have LeBron and AD as healthy as possible going into that matchup. And hopefully AD is able to kind of reset his back and be able to play 100% because God knows he's going to need it against Jokic. But there's a lot to dissect into the series. We kind of talked about it prior to recording, but I'll kick it to Daniel first before I'll give my prediction last. But what are your thoughts on the series? Do you envision the Lakers somehow pulling off the impossible here?
Yeah, the Laker fan in me just wants to say Lakers in 6 so bad. Like I want that to be my prediction. Like as a fan of growing up with this team, like I want to win so bad. But I think the more realistic kind of approach is in my head when I'm thinking logically, I say Nuggets in 5 or 6. I think that's just, kind of where my brain goes to. But I definitely do think we have a better shot this year. I think they did sweep us this year, but I really, you know, don't think it matters too much. I think it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. In the NBA, every game is different every night. One guy can, have a CJ game last night and shoot like terribly. One guy can, hit all their shots. So I think it really just matters if we can show up for 4 nights in a row. And that's just the biggest thing to me. Um, I think, we're really going to have to tighten up offensively. Last night, I was kind of I was complaining the Matt a little bit is like our entire fourth quarter offense is just, looking for the switch to LeBron. LeBron backs down Alvarado for, 15 seconds. They blitz him and then, we kick out and it's just, just a terrible offensive possession. That just can't be our offense, this far into the season. And I really hope that, that game on Sunday against the Pelicans, like, our offense was perfect. Everyone was moving off the ball. There was a lot of good passing, good shooting, and it was just a perfect game. Like, that game was literally perfect. Now, I know you can't expect that every night, but, the Lakers have shown flashes this past month of, the potential. And, I think that, coming into this series, I think LeBron and AD want us, send a message. And I think they want to, prove everyone wrong. And I think that's just the mindset. And even like you said, Darvin is just saying, that they want all the smoke. They want to prove everyone wrong. Got swept last year, and this is the perfect opportunity to do so. I'm really excited. I want to, like I said, I want to say Lakers at 6 with a passion. I'll just go ahead and say that. But
Uh,
I think we got a legitimate shot this year. I won't lie.
Shub, off to you.
Yeah, no, hearing Daniel got me excited for this series. So we got 2-3 more days away. I can't wait to tip this off. Yeah, I think you covered everything, man. Like, there are so many layers to this series while still like everyone, like majority, kind of has an idea who's gonna win. There's just so much to still unravel because of the season series, last year's conference final series. It's just a lot of stuff. And to give Laker fans hope, it's like there were so many anomalies that happened in the playoffs last year and even this year. Well, you want to talk about, well, last year. Okay, let's talk about this year. We lost to the Denver Nuggets. I believe our last meeting with them, or our first home meeting with them. Michael Porter Jr. made NBA history going 10 for 10 on all jump shots with 0 paint touches. Like, that has never happened before in league history. So you want to talk about, like, obviously people getting up for the Lakers. I'm kind of tired of that excuse. We hear it all the time. Like, yes, it's the truth. That's why you're a Laker fan. It's because everyone gives us our best. But there is a line to it. And I think it is safe to assume that, the lights out shooting hopefully won't be this big of a problem like this time around. But also with that, you hear all that stuff, like, and Laker fans kind of, making the case. I think a part of us on that is to take accountability. Why were they shooting lights out? Why is Jamal Murray going 50, 40, 90 over the course of 4 games? We need to close the airspace. And I'm talking to the coaches. I'm talking to the guys that I co-host with. Like, you can hear about all the like crazy 2016 Steph Curry like numbers from the other guys that they had. And it's like, some of that is on us, dude. Where's the airspace? Why are we letting them get to their sets with ease? Why do Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic have such a smooth fourth quarter execution plan when they're with their 2-man game? And when it comes to our 2 stars, which I believe, apex for apex, our stars are better in a series, don't get me wrong, but you can see a difference in fourth quarter execution when it comes to Jamal and Jokic versus LeBron and AD. And I think the major difference is that after the pick and roll, our guys are just kind of like, scouring the half court offense. When LeBron catches it off the dive or AD catches it off the roll, they're just kind of surveying and in triple threat for a little too long, and then kind of going 1-on-1. And like, I think you guys said it too, just exploring and just hunting that switch way too much. Inferior teams, that's going to work 9 times out of 10. Against the Denver Nuggets, you're not going to find that with 24 seconds on the shot clock. So I think that's just a small sample size, an example of what needs to change, especially down in the fourth quarter, that I want to see happen with the late game execution. Because Lord knows I'm not giving I'm not trusting in game 4, 3 seconds left, give it to Rui Hachimura in the fourth quarter with 54 seconds left on the shot clock. We're down 1. That just can't happen, right? Because that was a complaint last year too. Is like give it to your guys and live with the results. So that's what it comes down to for me in terms of prediction. I'm with Daniel too. I think, if everything goes right, I think we need 4 ceiling games from the 2024 Los Angeles Lakers. When I say ceiling games, those flashes you were talking about when they can play their best, that they need to show up and win. If that happens, Lakers in 6, but I think objectively Denver in 5, they do have the very, very favorable matchup. So I think physicality, if we can bring it, because Jokic mentioned that today, if we can bring the physicality, close the airspace, make them uncomfortable, I think our 2 guys and our starters, can go up against them pretty well and live to see another day. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that was very well said. And I think we've seen it like the previous 8 meetings. I think it's going to boil down to that crunch time offense. I know that game against New Orleans wasn't the greatest example of that, but crunch time offense is going to be a big deal again this time around. I think we're going to be hanging around for the most part in this series. So I think getting away from switch hunting is probably the best bet for the Lakers. And because when it comes down to winning time, the Nuggets, it doesn't get much better with Jokic and Jamal Murray 2-man game, because the Lakers struggled in like every single meeting this year trying to contain that 2-man game, which is nearly impossible to stop. So I think if the Lakers are within striking distance, that's going to be something to monitor for sure. And then overall, I think you need players to step up, as Shub kind of talked about. I'm all eyes for me personally are on D'Angelo Russell getting his get back against the Nuggets. It doesn't come at any better time. Uh, you're probably going to decline your player option. You're going to want a payday. So this is the time to do it. And none better to get against the team you put up a stinker performance against. So I think D'Lo and AR are probably the 2 players I'm looking at to really take that leap. And they're probably the 2 guys I'm going to be looking at to give us a chance to win this series. And probably a little bit of a hot take here, but I'm also looking at Gabe Vincent because I think we're definitely going to need his point of attack defending against Jamal Murray through various points of this series, depending on how hot he's shooting. So I think Gabe Vincent is probably an underrated asset for the Lakers. I think he could be able to potentially build off that playing performance. He shot with a lot more confidence. It looked like when he saw that first 3 go, he was definitely shooting with a lot more confidence. So are there any players that Shub you're looking for to perform in this series in particular?
I think Gabe Vincent's a great one, for sure. I think I'm ready to tweet it right now. I think Gabe Vincent right now needs to have like a 10 tab binder on Jamal Murray. Like legit. Like he needs to read everything. He needs to like study up. I know he just got back, but if there's one thing he can do in his conditioning is pretty good. It should be right now, 4, 5, 6 games in already upon his return. He needs to absolutely hound this man and make sure 32 points on 50, 40, 90 does not happen in any way, shape, or form. If we lose in 6, we bow out in 6 or we bow out in 5, that man better not be averaging more than 27 points on average or above average efficiency. Otherwise, I just won't be acceptable as a fan to accept defeat that way. So you're right. I think Gabe Vincent, the least he can do is just provide that, while our starters we've seen over the course of the last month are going to take the bulk of the scoring. That's just who we are. Do I like that our bench can't put up 15 points consistently a night? No, but it's the playoffs. It does not matter. You have to come out of here with the win no matter what. So they're just going to go ahead and do that. It's going to be curious to see. All eyes, yes, are on D'Angelo Russell. But people forget Rui and Austin just had their first playoff run last year. So I don't think it's fair to them or us to conclude that they're automatically playoff risers when they simply just played in about, what was that, in a 16-game sample size and both of those guys had their down series out of the 3 that we played. So I'm looking for them to maintain their level of production. And you don't think Denver has them on the scouting report? Austin stopped, grifting and going to the line a lot less this year. So that defense is going to pick up a little bit for Austin and Rui. Can Rui keep up his tremendous jump shooting, when he gets his touches, and can that ball continue to go in like he's shooting a beautiful true shooting percentage? We don't know, especially with the length of Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. So these guys got to come ready to play. I trust our stars ready to go. AD's got to rebound the basketball. We don't have rebounding help. It's going to be, really tough. Jokic in game 1 in the first half had 17 rebounds himself. That is not a typo. 1-7 in game 1 in 2 quarters. So I'm really concerned about, I mentioned the physicality, but the rebounding help. How are we going to be able to clear possessions? Because to keep Denver from second chance points and those ricochet shots rebounds that Jokic gets and can just overhead throw it to a cutter, after, they get a second chance, that's buckets on their end. So we have to limit them to 1 possession. So I'm looking across the roster for some help, but mainly I think Gabe Vincent and Anthony Davis on the defensive glass is kind of like the 2 I'm looking at.
Daniel, you?
Yeah, I think you guys hit it mostly on, the Lakers side, just we need our shooters to really step up, and D'Lo and AR. I think, the biggest thing too is, you kind of alluded to it, is just the energy on defense. I feel like, I know we as Laker fans, and, like you said, we are right to a capacity that, players do step up against the Lakers and make, shots and put up points. But, you know, at what point are we gonna just, kind of step up defensively and, really contend the 3-point line a lot better against this team? I feel like, Jamal Murray has just put us in a blender, these past matchups, and he really just always has these outlier games against us, because I feel like we just don't, guard him to the capacity that we really should be. So I really want to see that kind of, that energy, and that, pretty much, yeah, just the energy on defense, and just getting to that 3-point line. And I think, as well as the biggest player I'm going to be looking at is AD. AD really needs to set the tone in the paint, and you kind of said that just now, but he needs to be on Jokic. He needs to be aggressive on Jokic on both ends of the floor. That's I think is going to be the matchup that really determines the series. Is if we get, that AD that we just saw last night, like we, get the brooms out for Denver, because we're getting swept. He needs to be on his A game, in
Mhm.
my opinion. I think the boxing out needs to be to a degree. Like, we cannot let Aaron Gordon, we cannot let Michael Porter Jr., we cannot let, Christian Braun, these guys who just love to run in and get boards on the offensive side of the ball. We need to, make sure we, get ourselves on a body and just box out, because it really comes down to the little things in this series. I feel like it's just the effort of the Lakers. If we come out and don't have that energy, don't have those simple little um, factors to basketball, then we're going to get swept. And I kind of felt like that was the same thing last year. Is we just weren't doing the little things right when it came down to crunch time, when it came down to the Nuggets run. So I really hope, this entire team is locked in. Gabe Vincent is going to be a really big factor. And I think for the Nuggets side too, it's really going to be on those guys like Christian Braun and, Peyton Watson. If those guys are struggling and they aren't hitting their shots, and they don't have those random like 15 point, 18-point nights that just, like we're seeing in some of these, playing games, then, I think, we should be fine. And we just have to, everyone just needs to step up and just bring the energy.
Very well said from the both of you. And my prediction, I'm going to err on the side of realism here. I'm probably going to say Nuggets in 6. I think just not being swept, I think, is a good moral victory for me. As long as we make the Nuggets work for it, I'm happy. But, I mean, that's not the Lakers' mindset that I should have. But, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see. Perhaps LeBron and AD just go absolutely nuclear. You can never count them out for sure, but I think it'll definitely still be a competitive series like the Western Conference Finals. But overall, I think this time around we'll be able to pick up some wins. And who knows? Game 1 picks up on Saturday, so maybe we can steal one. I think Game 1 is probably going to be a pretty key factor for this series. So definitely be interesting to watch for sure. So moving on, say the Lakers go out competitively in 5 or 6. There's been a lot made about the direction of this team and where they should go. Should they go back to star hunting like a Trey Young or Donovan Mitchell? Should they become available? Or just we have 3 picks available this summer. You just package them up and try to pick up a role player or two to just improve on the depth of this roster. I can see the points on both sides. From what I've seen, has been pretty conflicted. And overall, it's pretty interesting to see. But I think our front office is probably going to be on the mindset of star hunting, which I know we're all still scarred from the Russell Westbrook experiment. But overall, I think this time around there could be stars available that are just way more better of fits than Russell Westbrook. So that'll be interesting to monitor. But just in a perfect world, you get Trey Young or Donovan Mitchell, or you err on the side of just maintaining your depth and just rolling with the punches from there. So if you had to pick one of those two paths, which way would you go? I'll start with Daniel.
For me it's tough because we've seen the 3-star kind of method not work out, obviously. But I do think the Russell Westbrook with AD and LeBron fit just didn't really, those were one of the early concerns, was just the spacing and things like that. Obviously, no one expected Westbrook to, fall that far off a cliff, but he did. And I think bringing in a star like Donovan or Trey, obviously, if they become available, I think would work a lot better this time, just because, you have the passing with both of them, you have the shooting, you have, things that just Westbrook really didn't bring to the table offensively. And then you look at the depth route. I haven't given it too much thought. I don't really know who we can, go after. But I mean, you've kind of seen it these past couple seasons. We have these depth pieces. You saw it this offseason. Everyone was calling us like the deepest team in the league, and then injuries have kind of derailed that vision. And it's just it's a gamble with that as well, because sometimes guys just don't play up to par of how we expect, or just they don't kind of live up to the expectations that are kind of seen with it. So I think you can't really go wrong with either. Um, I haven't given it too much thought, to be honest with you, but I kind of want to lean towards that 3-star kind of um mode, just because you don't know how much longer you have LeBron. So I kind of think of it post LeBron. Can we keep that star said, if it's Donovan or Trey post LeBron? And if we could, I definitely would like to see the future looking like, or look like that, with having, let's say Trey and AD leading the way in the future. So that's just kind of where my brain's at. I'd go 3-star, maybe for a year or two, and then post LeBron, try to retain AD and whoever we get. That's just kind of where my head goes right now.
Shub, how do you feel?
Yeah, well said by Daniel. I'm sort of on the same wavelength too. That's kind of what's exciting about this offseason. First of all, I don't even call it a 3-star model, because when Russell Westbrook got here and how he played, nothing he did was of star value, to be honest. So it can't even be called a 3-star model, because we never got a third star. We never received a star player, an all-star caliber player, from the moment he played his first preseason game all the way up until when he was traded. And so I feel like we never even tried the 3-star model to begin with, because it wasn't a viable player to begin with. What you're replacing Russell Westbrook with either guy, we had Russell Westbrook who could not defend, nor could shoot, nor could space the floor. And you're checking 2 out of those 3 boxes with either Donovan Mitchell and Trey Young. More on the latter side with Donovan Mitchell, because he can defend a whole lot better than Trey Young, obviously. But when you have an anchor like Anthony Davis in your back line, along with the Jared Vanderbilt, who in a hypothetical Trey Young trade would probably stay on the team, knowing you just need 2 or 3 of those assets, of our starting lineup to kind of make the Trey Young trade go, along with the 3 first-round picks. So you talk about a back line with LeBron, Vando, and Anthony Davis covering up for Trey Young, rather than just DeJounte Murray and Clint Capella and DeAndre Hunter, who he has in Atlanta. You're talking like a whole lot of better defensive support and quite honestly, a much better defensive anchor who we already rely on and funnel everything through in Anthony Davis, who's consistently been snubbed for Defensive Player of the Year. So on the Trae Young front, I'm not really concerned about the defensive struggles people bring at the point of attack. We have other players on the roster to be able to help with that. I think the goal coming into this year was talking about continuity, right? That was the key word, and everyone bought into it, right? Because we wanted some consistency. Because let's keep it a buck. We were all scarred from the Russell Westbrook trade, 100%. So we were like continuity, role players, back to 2020. This is what we wanted. But I think what we tend to forget is that continuity then forces guys who are maybe a year too early to now stand next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis and win you a title right now. And that leads to rush timelines. That leads to, higher expectations that should never have been there in the first place. And that's what we already did with Kyle Kuzma, who escaped with the third option kind of expectations because he won a title regardless. So I think, with the Team USA hype, Austin got how well Rui's been playing and of late, and the bail he was able to, get off of from being benched the first 20, 30 games for Taurean Prince. I think they've put within the fan base, they have been put in irresponsible positions to kind of brainwash us like, oh, they're ready to deliver now, when we don't even know if that's the case yet, because these guys are coming off seasons where they've averaged 15 points a game and are good role players. But are they championship level role players? That has yet to be seen yet. And if they're not, people need to understand that's okay that they're not, because the only people that told them they were supposed to be were Laker fans, because we have LeBron James and we have no one to blame except our own. So continuity was cool and all, but we work on LeBron's timeline and LeBron's timeline only. That was the promise our general manager made when he was signed here July 1st, 2018, is that I am here to uphold his legacy. And his legacy is not about making the Western Conference Finals or making even the NBA Finals. We have to go get championships. And as blunt as I can be and transparent I can be, if Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and D'Angelo Russell are not good enough to win LeBron James a championship, I don't know if they should be on this team, point blank period, right? And you don't have a lot of years to figure out if you have enough sample size to determine that. But I think if we don't get it done this year, that's something you have to highly consider, because continuity didn't work out and you only did it because you were scarred from what your past mistake was. So I think you actually get a star this time to do a 3-star model, one that can actually work with the big two, and get LeBron his 5th championship before he, has his farewell tour, which we have to prepare for as well. So I'm all about the 3-star model. I think it makes the most sense. Do you have to go vet minimums again? And that's always a little tough kind of hunting for Rob Pelinka. Yes, absolutely. But like Daniel kind of mentioned, you talk about not having to suffer for 10 years because you're without a star, because Anthony Davis isn't enough to carry a franchise. You have 2 stars to then start over with and then build a new culture after LeBron, and you're setting your whole franchise up for success. So I think in the short term and the long term, you really cannot go wrong, because you're actually acquiring an actual 3rd star this time to go out and get a big fish, especially with your first round draft pick. So
Yeah, I would say I probably agree with you both. I'd probably, in a perfect world, I probably want to see Trae Young over here. As we speak, the Hawks are getting smoked in the plans. So the Hawks have a decision to make with Trae and DeJounte, whether they move off of one or both of them. That remains to be seen, but it'll definitely be interesting to see for sure. And yeah, I think Trae Young and AD would definitely feed families for sure. If in the LeBron post LeBron era, I think those two would definitely hold it down for sure. And I just want to. I know you have to leave soon, Shub, but I kind of want to. I saw it was a great night for social media for us Lakers fans. We were able to see the downfall of the Golden State Warriors, just going out sad against the Sacramento Kings. So it was definitely a very interesting night in the world of social media. But yeah, Nick Wright jumping into Warrior spaces. I listened to that. That was comedy. Um, he was going to war over Warriors fans, and that was very funny to listen to. But I know on my timeline, I saw you Shub. You kept the receipts for sure of Warriors fans, and that was very entertaining to see. So I kind of want to get your perspective on the Golden State game and just kind of clapping back at Warriors fans.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's funny because we were live after we streamed the game for All Access Lakers. I went live on Coach's Den as we always do after every Laker game, and those things are super volatile. Like, I mean, I always try to get out there within an hour 30, but we just punched a ticket to the play-in, so we kind of just chilled, listened to everyone. A lot of requests, obviously, and wanted to hear everyone be excited about us making the postseason. So that space went on for 2.5, 3 hours. It crashed, and then we went live again for another hour. So we had a 3 hour space. And so right after our playing game was the Kings and Warriors game, which we were all live watching as people were giving their takes on the Laker game, the prior game. So it kind of ran long, and I, I was watching the score as I was hosting the space, and I saw the timer go down and down in the fourth quarter, and we had like 2, 3, 4 speakers left to go. I was telling the guys, hurry up because I know exactly what receipts I have. They're in a folder. I got to get them out as soon as the game ends. I can't wait until it's 11 and everyone already went to sleep. I got to get these out. So please hurry
Oh.
up. I was saying this on our live Lakers space, and they were like, okay, I got you. Logged out of that shit real quick. And just went to my bookmarks. I know exactly what tweet they were talking about. We were doing the mid off with accept cookies kind of with the standings watch and everything, the 9-10-10-9 with the Warriors and Lakers. And so they kept quoting that. I tweeted that I think in November. I tweeted a photo of the standings, and I was super sarcastic in my tweet. I was just like, your championship contending Golden State Warriors, here they come. And it was a picture of the Western Conference 1 through 10, and the Warriors weren't in that picture. And I was just like, here come the Warriors, obviously making fun they're not in the picture. And then in January and then in March, when they, for literally 24 hours, were ahead of us, they were quoting that like crazy. Oh, here they come, the Lakers. And then so 2 months later, I had to get them back and just like went ballistic on all the quote tweets on that, and just kind of make fun of everyone there. I have such a true hatred for the Golden State Warriors. It really boils deep, so I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of that hatred. But it's always fun clapping back at them. I have some good friends who are Warrior fans, and people are respecting that. But was definitely in the Nick Wright space. That was comedy. That was super hilarious. That I saw a tweet that him just completely owning all Warrior fans with like kindness and just calmness was probably the funniest part about all of them. He literally said, they asked Nick Wright, extremely arrogantly. They were like, so how many Warriors games do you think you've watched this season, Nick? And he was like, honestly, like not a ton, probably 15. And for like a LeBron fan or like not a Warriors fan, 15 is a lot. Front to end, from start to finish, he said he watched 15, but like skimming through probably like 40. And they were like laughing at him because it wasn't enough. And they were like, well, we watch 82, so wouldn't you think we have somewhat of an idea of what we're talking about? And he was like, well, wouldn't you think the general manager, the president, and the owner, who are watching the same games you do probably twice and probably even more detail, know more than you guys? The entire space said a resounding no. So they kind of admitted Bob Myers don't know. I mean, excuse me, Joe Lacob doesn't know more than us. Mike Dunleavy doesn't know more than us. And so I think that just summarizes Warrior fans kind of in a nutshell about their delusion, about how they kind of view their team. So it was a great night, like you said, on social media for everything, all the jokes. A lot of them said, we'll be back here in a couple weeks for the Lakers demise. Hopefully we don't get there. We made the playoffs. They didn't. It's as simple as that. So, at least our dynasty isn't over as of yet. So,
Yeah, so you're of the mindset that this is probably the end of the dynasty for the Warriors.
I hope so. I really hope so. I really hope so. I hope so for sure. I don't think they're a threat either way if they keep it together, but I sure hope so. But if Clay wants to weigh his options, he can. But I mean, I think it's best for him. I think it's best for the dynasty to stay together and get some more help. I don't know how with their tax bill, but I hope the dynasty deteriorates. But I think it's best for them if they stay. But anything can sort of happen because I think Clay's really considering this free agency thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Daniel, do you have any thoughts about the Warriors game?
Yeah, it was kind of surreal to watch it. Just for me, like I grew up with like obviously the Warriors dynasty, and like you just kind of see it progress. And then when KD went, so I mean, as much as I haven't liked the Warriors in the past couple years, it's always like weird to see them like kind of the tail end of like these dynasties. And I kind of felt the same way with in football. When Brady kind of retired and stuff. Like as much as you and I kind of realized it, and I remember I talked about this with Matt a couple months ago. Is even with how much I hated Brady, now looking back, like I kind of miss him. You know what I mean? You just kind of miss seeing that greatness, and I've kind of felt that way with Curry to a degree where like as annoying as he's been these past 10-15 years of just against the Lakers and just watching him dominate. I know that when I kind of look back on that dynasty and with Clay and as annoying Draymond is, but um with that team is I'm gonna miss it and I'll be like, damn, like, they were obviously like what they did was just insane. And I think the biggest thing for me with the Warriors is it's just the fans that make it even the more
Mhm.
intolerable. Like I honestly really don't hate Steph Curry as much as I feel like other Laker fans do, but like when it comes to their fans and your Twitter as well, I've seen your quotes and I've seen like all the tweets that make me laugh. But like Warrior fans are something, man. They are probably one of the most delusional fan bases on the app of Twitter. And it's funny to watch them kind of, you know, just tweet thinking they know what needs to happen and thinking like they know all this stuff. So it's I think that's what makes them more hateable. But in terms of the dynasty, I think Clay leaves. I feel like he just needs that change of scenery. You've seen it, just the confidence isn't there as much as he wants to hide it. I just don't feel like um it looks good for him. I think he just needs to figure out a way to go somewhere and just maybe like a 1-year prove deal somewhere. I think Draymond, I feel like he'll be a Warrior next season. I think him and Steph will kind of stay together. And I don't know how that front office kind of refuels and kind of gets going this next season, but they need to figure it out. They need to get Steph help. It's he's just one of those stars where you just look at that team and it's just the talent's just not there. And I really honestly kind of felt bad for him these past couple of years because you see how much he works and how much he wants to win. His front office just hasn't repaid him with that same um, kind of love that other stars get. So I hope they figure it out. At least to give him some help. But I do think Clay and I do think that big three will officially be over this summer.
Yeah, the Warriors definitely have a lot of questions to answer for sure. And then obviously the playoffs, the first round start this weekend. I'll start this off with Shubh. If you have to go after this, feel free. But
I'm good.
kind
I'm good.
of want to talk about some of the series that we're looking forward to in this first round. I feel like probably most of our answers are going to be focused around the Western Conference because there are plenty of great matchups, especially in this first round. It'll probably only get better as time progresses. But Shub, I'll kick it to you. What are some of the first round matchups that are catching your eye?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, I'm gonna tune into Wolves Suns. I really think that's gonna be fun to watch. Kevin Durant's my favorite player in the league, like as of now. So rooting for him is fun, even though I got to put up with watching Devin Booker next to him as well. Um, watching him just like still try to dominate at this level is a personal rooting interest of mine, and I think they do have a chance at this upset right here. So especially against a great team like Minnesota, who's actually like wanting to compete. Them figuring out like this late Bradley Beal finding his stride is like, a guy I don't think people can have true hatred for. He's just a baller, and a scorer. So I'm happy for him. He won them that Kings game close the end of the year, which helped us kind of get to, that 7-8 matchup too. So I'm rooting for those two guys for sure. To see if they can kind of steal that. It's going to be hard. And then I think everyone is sort of watching that Clippers Mavs. It's going to be insane. Kyrie is one of my other favorite players. Him against two players I like hate with a burning passion, in Harden and Westbrook. It's going to be must-see TV, so I just can't wait for that. Let's see what Luka has left. Retool Dallas. Clippers are as deeper as ever. Nobody in the entire association is under more pressure than the Los Angeles Clippers. So, we'll see what happens, in that series. And if the Mavs can pull it off, we are all Mavs fans for the next foreseeable 2 weeks. So, like you said, a ton of West matchups to be excited for. So,
Daniel, what about you?
I think for me, I I think the biggest one that's kind of catched my eye, and I don't think it probably has for a lot of other people, is I'm actually really excited about the Knicks 76ers. I think that one's going to be really fun. You know, I've had League Pass, and just watching Jalen Brunson play basketball these past 2 weeks has honestly been like poetry. It's been absolutely amazing to watch this guy take the court, and I'm really excited for that matchup. I think it's going to be really interesting with Joel and how he looked pretty bad tonight. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But with an injured Joel, how much can the Sixers kind of compete and keep this series close? And with the Knicks as well, without having Julius for the rest of the season, just how deep can they go? Especially with there's been a lot of questions, and a lot of people are picking the Sixers, I feel like, or if the Heat were to win tonight as well, a lot of people feel like that 7 seed, whoever came out, could upset the Knicks. So just to kind of see what Jalen will kind of do, and if they can close out that series and just kind of move on. I'm really interested to see that one. And I think another one too for me is if the Kings win tomorrow or on Friday. Kings Thunder, I think, is going to be a really good series. Those two teams, both young. I think Sabonis and Chet will be a really fun matchup to kind of watch. And then, obviously De'Aaron and Shea are two of the best young point guards that we have in this league. So I think that one's going to be must-see TV. I can't wait for that one. Obviously, 1-8 matchups don't really get too much hype now and then, but I think the potential 2 1-8 matchups that we're going to get this year are going to be really good. If, the Heat can win on Friday, and if Jimmy can stay healthy, I think, you know, we're in for a treat. And I think, like you touched on, I think every single matchup we're going to get in this first round is going to be really good. It's going to be insane, and I just can't wait. And but those would be, outside of the Lakers, the two kind of series that I'm most excited for.
Bucks Pacers with that ball incident
Yeah,
earlier in the season.
yeah.
Like, I just thought of that one.
Mhm.
Like, it's gonna be
that one's
popcorn all around. Get your popcorn.
I know it's not getting hyped up as much, and I know I saw too that they got 2 NBA TV games, but the
Right.
Magic and Cavs as well. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm personally excited for that one as well, but I know it won't get as much national attention just because of all the
Absolutely.
other matchups, but I definitely will be tuning in for those. I went to Orlando a couple weeks ago, and I got to see Paulo in person. Like, he is
Yeah.
like, his game is so smooth, and he's just really good. So I can't wait to watch that series. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many good matchups.
I'm going to Orlando actually this weekend, so I'm
Oh,
going to
wow.
look into getting kind of some Magic
Yeah.
tickets, see how much they're coming at. Because Donovan Mitchell's one of my favorite players as well.
Yeah.
Too. So
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, that'd be sick. For sure. Yeah, there's definitely every matchup contains its like storylines and everything. But I think, as Shub mentioned, I think the Minnesota Suns series and the Mavs Clippers series are probably my top two for sure. And then my third one is probably Milwaukee, Indiana. I know Malik Beasley had a quote early in the year, Laker legend. He talked about how if they got Indiana in the series, it wouldn't be pretty. And also, I'm just a Doc Rivers fraud watcher. I love watching him in the playoffs. So that'll definitely be something to see as well. So definitely a lot to watch in this first round as it kicks off this weekend. And that will do it for this episode of Basketball Banter. Again, thank you, Shub, for coming out. Greatly
Thank you
appreciate
guys.
it.
Appreciate
and
you guys.
Tell the people where to find you.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys for being a great host. This is a fun conversation. I'm usually listening to other people's takes, whether or not good or bad, and I got to sit through there, hosting several conversations from Laker fans, like not nationwide, but like worldwide. So I appreciate it. Sometimes I forget if I even have Laker takes, and thank you for reminding me I do. But yeah, you could find me on Twitter, obviously at OVOLakeShow. I've been running this account for 4 years now. Just, making the Lakers as fan enjoyable as possible, satirical as possible. Come follow me for any bipolar, emotional Laker fan takes and a lot of Kobe Bryant content as well. That's who I made the account in honor of too. So OVO Lake Show on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. And yeah, you can find me there.
Yeah, for sure. Feel free to check him out, and obviously his Lakers spaces as well. Definitely great content as always, and definitely going to be in there come playoff time for sure. And then Daniel, feel free to plug anything you want to.
Yeah, I mean, my Twitter is, Daniel_Rios72. I'm studying sports journalism at ASU. I kind of want to go into the sports writing world. If you follow me there, I'll just retweet or post some of my articles. Right now, I'm covering the tennis team for ASU. Just kind of trying to grow my brand. If you want to check me out there, same handle on Instagram. I'm not that active on Instagram, but yeah, usually on trying to get my sports Twitter a little bit more, kind of engaged with. So I'm trying to tweet on there more. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And it's been fun talking about the Lakers. Don't really get to share my takes out there too much with the world, so it's always nice just to kind of sit down here and just kind of talk Lakers, talk basketball, and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you to you two for both hopping on. Definitely great conversations with the both of you. And feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And I'll put all their links down below in the description. So feel free to check them out as well. And the playoffs are here. Definitely going to be fun to watch. And I'll see you guys next week.